You noble diggers, all stand up now.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to my channel. Today we will be talking about why Trotskyism. Uh, Trotsky lost, right? Trotsky is a loser. He didn't institute socialism. Marxism-Leninism was successful, whereas uh, Trotskyism is not, right? Syndicalism, the French academic offshoot that I believe in, has never even been tried, right? And so I'm sure most conservatives that would run across this channel would screech at me, not real socialism, or something like that. But I'm bound to believe in Trotsky. I'm going to slowly present why, but I believe there are three good reasons to believe in Trotsky, and the last one is the most powerful. The first two are material, right? They're what he did in reality. And the first thing that he did was he led the revolution. He caused the revolution. Lenin was not even in country. Trotsky organized the workers. Trotsky organized the sailors. Trotsky turned the guns of the Aurora, the cruiser Aurora, in the harbor of St. Petersburg. He turned their main guns to point at the parliament across town, the Duma, and then had a vote and instituted communism. Incredible. The balls, the audacity. And then after that, after having just made a parliament vote under his gun, he goes out and wins the Civil War, right? And I usually just leave it at that because I don't know. I guess I should paint it though more clearly what he did to win the Civil War, right? He didn't go out and just beat the Tsarists' forces, right? Which was what he did. He hopped on an armored train, made himself chief of the Soviet army, and just went out and beat everybody, right? In Ukraine, in Belarus, in Poland. He was victorious. But he didn't just beat Tsarist forces, right? He also beat the intervention by the imperialist powers. Japan, America, Britain, France, they all sent divisional sized units to put down this rebellion, as they called it, the uprising of the people. And he beat them too, right? He tossed them out. So, causes the revolution and then wins the revolution, right? Those are the two material reasons why I support Trotsky, right? And then there is the ideological reason, the idealistic reason, right? As a materialist, I think the material things are obviously more important, but I cannot help but be swayed by good argumentation. And Trotsky is among the best. He is not just among the best, he may be the best ever, right? I think he was superseded by some French academics in the 60s, specifically Derrida, and then later Deleuze and Guattari. But to add to the canon at the end of the canon is incredible, right? We're not talking about like the Bible where there's prophecy and things like that. This is a long running debate between world historical geniuses. Does stuff rule the world or does thought rule the world? Right? And he added to that debate, right, by his law of uneven but combined or co-equal development, right, which is that the imperial core always develops unequally and that the best spot for revolution will be in the lagging portion of the imperial core. And he proved that. He did it with the Russians. I should admit here that the law of co-equal development leads me to believe in my theory about the Commonwealth. That the Commonwealth of His Majesty King Charles III is similar to Russia today, a medieval hang-up, a leftover, ideologically vacuous, and obviously the most ripe for revolutionary fervor and intelligentsia. Before we get really into the ideological argument, though, I'd like to talk about a joke about Trotsky, right? A underling, a lower bureaucrat, a high bureaucrat, but lower than Trotsky and Stalin, comes to Trotsky and says, "Comrade Stalin has been provoking against you. He has been trying to bend people against you. And Comrade Trotsky turns around and gives him a lecture. He says, how dare you promote disunity in the party? Comrade Stalin is a valued member of the party, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then this person turns around and goes and tells Stalin what happened, right? Mad that he'd been lectured to. He's not some child. He's a real man. He has his own thoughts. But he goes and complains to the person he was telling on. And Stalin says, oh, that is terrible. Why don't you keep an eye on him for me? And then calls that guy's next two underlings in, one after the other. To that first one, he says, I'm worried about underling 1. You better keep an eye on him. And then to underling 3, I'm worried about underling 2. You better keep an eye on him. Right? So the point of the joke is that whatever Trotsky's, virtues and abilities beyond Stalin's, he didn't bring a revolutionary zeal to it, right? He didn't commit to the bit, right? Which is that we're not fucking about. We'd like to be in charge, right? Not just in charge, kind of in charge, but in charge, in charge.
Hope this lesson wasn't just a waste of time.
Well, Brain, I've learned that one thing's true. Every one of them has failed, and so have you.
Thank you for that vote of confidence. Now come, we must prepare for tomorrow night.
Why? What are we going to do tomorrow night? Sing a song about all the world's cheeses?
No, Pinky. We shall try to take over the world through meticulous analysis of history.
The joke has bits of truth within it, right? Stalin famously read deeply Marx and Lenin, right? That's why he calls his ideology Marxism-Leninism. He was constantly quoting and highlighting. We have his personal library. We've seen the highlights that indicate the hundreds of hours he must have spent with these texts, right? Truly committed, right? That's impressive, but that's workmanlike. Trotsky was a world historical genius, as I was saying about the canon, right? To add to the conversation is to rank yourself with Plato and Aristotle and Descartes, right? To line up not on the shoulders of giants, but to measure yourself against them, right? Stalin was not that. Right?
Let's stick to Steph and Magic.
Who's a better shooter?
Steph Curry's a better
finisher?
Oh, Magic.
Who's a better passer?
Magic.
Who's a better mid-range shooter?
I'll give Curry that.
I know you do. Who's a better
All right.
playoff performer?
Magic.
At what?
Even if he didn't have any left hand, or even if he couldn't shoot, I can tell you that. I can tell you what he did do.
What he do?
He's a part of the biggest collapse in NBA history, being up 3-1 and actually losing an NBA championship.
First of all, Steph is a 4-time champion.
100%.
Steph is a unanimous
I'm a 5-time
MVP.
champion.
No,
Okay.
Steph is a unanimous MVP. You know what that
100%.
means? You want me to spell it for you?
Please,
that
put me
means
on.
nobody else got a vote, right? My life, your life. You're older than me. And you have never seen a point guard better than
Well,
Steph. And that's a fact.
Are you the best point guard ever?
Yes. Yes. It's me and Magic. That's the conversation.
Yeah.
Настало время русской революции. Будьте мужчинами, оплодотворите ее. Да здравствует очищение через кровь.
I got 100 on my dash, got 200 in my trunk. Name in the grab bags, put my Bible in the trunk. Like a rocker on the top of my binocular, I'm drunk. How can I make a popular? Pop 'em when I want. See, I'm living with anxiety, ducking that sobriety. Fucking up the system, I ain't fucking.
Right? I don't want to play in counterfactuals. I admit all the monumental achievements of Stalinism, of Marxism-Leninism, the hundreds of millions it's brought out of poverty, the serious challenge it has pressed towards imperialism, the crushing of Nazism. Impressive, 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 right? Still didn't work. Still no global revolution. Russian communism still fell, right? And Chinese communism, it's debatable, right? I think that they are committed ideologically, but that they are unsuited to challenging the imperial core, right? That the imperial core will shift gears, that they beat the Soviets economically, And now we're going to turn around and beat the Chinese militarily, right? That we will not allow them to peacefully take the world, that they will poke our fingers in their face over and over again until we can blow up some kind of underreaction and just trounce them, beat them up, right? So Marxism-Leninism, in my opinion, in my view, has failed, right? Failed to deliver global revolution. And along the lines that Trotsky prophesized, right? That it would become a devolved bureaucratic state and be crushed by the forces of reaction. So any ideological commitment, I don't think any ideological commitment of the Chinese presidium, of the executive, which I believe in wholeheartedly, they are Marxist-Leninists, they do read the theory, cannot overcome what they've done to themselves, right? Which is the one-child policies destroyed their population pyramid. They have no friends basically in the area. And to expand, they'll have to alienate their allies, like the Russians, right? And so I think they're screwed. But we'll see, right? Because America is so incompetent, so evil, so barbaric that they will probably fuck it up before the Chinese do. We'll see, though. It's going to be down to the wire. All right, last bit I guess I'm doing for this. Well, I guess there's 2 more bits. This whole bit was provoked by a question by a commenter. I find it cute when people try and teach me things. There's maybe a handful of people on this planet who could teach me things about history and philosophy and geopolitics. So please ask questions. She said something, Alice Lund said something along the lines of syndicalism will always lose to Marxism-Leninism or imperialism because it doesn't have the central authority to assert its will, right? So cute. You're so cute. This is the problem of every revolution, right? That they are too democratic to engage with the forces of reaction, the nobility, right? The Hussites in the Czech Hussites, which are the early Protestant reformers. The Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 game covers them. Crushed by the nobility. The Diggers in England, right, which are people who were against the enclosure of land and the common ownership, and were for the common ownership of all land. They were crushed by the nobility. The sans-culottes, right, the without pants of the early French Revolution, were crushed by the forces of reaction. The first to not be crushed by the nobility, but to be completely bridled and ridden by the bourgeoisie, by the petite nobility, by the shopkeepers of France. Next, I believe, are the communards, right? And this is interesting because we're back to the nobility. There is no bourgeois destruction of the communists here, but a noble commanding and destruction by military forces, like the Hussites, right? And like the Diggers, but not like the sans-culottes, which is interesting, just remarking. And then finally, the last example is the Soviet councils, right? Who all followed Trotskyism and syndicalism and were crushed by the forces of reaction that I consider Marxism-Leninism, right? And I get to consider you the forces of reaction because Stalin himself called Trotsky the left opposition, right? How can you be the left opposition to the communists, right? If I'm to the left of you, it means you are a reactionary. That's what it is, right? But they were crushed by these bureaucrats, this Stalinist movement, and all glory and all hail, but you still failed. So I get deeply that syndicalism is too democratic, right? That it doesn't have the command theory implicit, right? That's the point. The point is, it is the new best lie. It is the new best perfidy, right? I've always said on this channel that all governance is about the best lie that can be pulled on a general populace, right? I want you to think about Christianity compared to paganism. Right? Paganism talking about strength and virtue and heroes, right? And the society that convinced its people that brotherhood was better crushed those people, right? Crushed them because it was a better lie. It allowed better organization, right? Christianity and kings, right? Brotherhood among all men was destroyed, eaten by democracy and capitalism, right? The divine right of kings is nothing to capitalism, right? And capitalism and democracy were a lie. They're just a lie, right? I'm gonna leave this song here I love about American democracy.
They said that God gave us this country. They said that we came to be free. They said that all people were welcome in this land of democracy. Bullshit, bullshit. It sounded like bullshit to me. Bullshit, bullshit, and bullshit it turned out to be.
But now we need to think about democracy versus communism, right? Is it really going to lead to a casteless, a classless society? Give me a fucking break. What am I, Jesus, right? What it can do, what it will do, is eliminate suffering on the levels we see today. Genocide, gone, right? Fear of want, gone, right? The oppression of minorities for no reason, gone. I've seen in my own hometown white people tell these brown people that they don't get a 15-minute break, right? That can't happen. That will not happen, right? Those are the promises that it will deliver on, right? But a classless society, give me a break, right? It'll aim towards that, right? It'll aim towards that just like democracy has aimed towards a rule of law, right? And so the power of the executive within syndicalism is dependent on the executive that forms it. There will be the first council, the first presidium, which will be formed from the material conditions of the revolutionary moment. And they will exercise power. They will proscript. They will order. They will command, right? Every presidium generation after that will be formed by bureaucrats. They'll be formed by a devolved bureaucratic state. They'll be less willing to invoke that power. They'll be more factionalized, right? The revolution is not idealistic. It is the result of material conditions. And the material conditions that form this first executive will allow it to assert its authority, right? And then this new authority will be the new hallucination that you morons get to play in, right? Which is all reality is right now, right? The hallucinations of the controlling mind, right? First it was paganism, and then it was Christianity, and then it was democracy, and next will be socialism and communism as the goal. Have a nice day. Hello, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you. This channel has one mission: to prevent civilizational collapse associated with climate change, to prevent 100 million refugees by 2035, to stop 7 billion from starving to death by 2075. And we will do this through one main vehicle. We mean to unite the Anglosphere. We will do this by convincing the Commonwealth of His Majesty King Charles III to apply for statehood as one. And then with this new power, we will be able to negotiate in good faith with the rest of the world on how to tackle this crisis. Thank you and enjoy.